across who say they have seen 100 bodies. So we will keep across what is happening in Kwara State in central Nigeria for you. Now, tributes have been coming in for snooker legend and BBC commentator John Virgo. He has died at the age of 79. Among them, 7-time world champion Ronnie O'Sullivan, who described him as a great mate who I love spending time with. Absolutely gutted. Virgo enjoyed an 18-year professional career, winning the UK Championship and reaching the semi-finals of the World Championships in 1979. He is perhaps best known for his post-playing career, presenting popular snooker TV show Big Break alongside comedian Jim Davidson from 1991 to 2002. Joe Linsky looks back at his life.
It's only a game, so
on Saturday nights in the 90s, the prime time slot went to snooker. Around 10 million people would tune in each week to see one man take his cue.
John Virgo.
This was John Virgo's stage, the big break in his career. One that started back in the 60s in the snooker halls of Salford, where at 15 he left school to compete as an amateur. But this sport was on the rise, and so was Virgo. At age 30, he turned professional, and in 1979 he won the UK Championship, his one major trophy, but later he revealed why he could never watch it back.
The night I had my great moment, there was a national strike of TV technicians and nobody saw it.
Your biggest moment in your life?
Yeah, nobody saw it.
Well, we've managed to find that tape. No, we ain't. Just kidding.
Between frames, Virgo also brought entertainment. He did impressions of fellow players.
Thank you very much.
The TV world would start to notice. In the late 80s, his form was in decline. He'd run up debts through gambling. With his career on the brink, he took a call from the BBC.
I'm gonna be snookering you tonight. Big Break!
With comedian Jim Davidson, he starred in Big Break, doing trick shots with contestants.
Hit through the centre of the neck and flick the basket up.
And setting up the stars.
Right, Ronnie, you've got 5 seconds to pot this black. Yeah!
The show gave Virgo a route into further fame.
And John Virgo comes
to book deals, panto, and his own line of waistcoats. But he was always most at home on snooker's greatest stage. For decades at the Crucible, he was the voice of his sport. Virgo's commentary brought jeopardy.
Where's the cue ball going? Where's the cue ball going? Oh!
He was on the mic for the BBC just 17 days ago at the final of the Masters.
And it's Kyron Wilson now. His second Triple Crown victory.
For 40 years, his presence made this sport entertainment. John Virgo was the bridge between the pockets and the people. Snooker without him will never sound quite the same.
And now he can relax. The job's done.
Well, let's speak now to Nick Metcalfe, who is journalist and host of the Radio Snooker podcast. Good to have you with us. What was he like then? I know you met him a number of times.
Just exactly in a way like you'd see on television. A born showman, a born entertainer, always had a great story, always had a line about someone, and just Mr. Snooker, really. I mean, the sport's lost one of its best friends, no question, one of its best ever friends. Got people messaging me today, left, right and centre, saying they feel like they've lost someone they know because he's been just a permanent part of our lives. We saw that in that package, the player, the entertainer, the guy that did impressions of other players when the BBC had time to fill in the 80s. Can you imagine? John, can you come and do impressions? They were great impressions. Mm-hmm. They weren't bad, they were brilliant impressions. Then Big Break. You know, he was just... Through the years and through the decades, John Virgo was always there. But number one, in a way, you've got to say, brilliant player that won the UK Championship. But his commentary, you know, he would go down for me as one of the greatest, if not the greatest voice in the commentary box. He had the perfect cadence for it. He used to tell his colleagues, remember, it's a show. Remember, great sport is great theatre. And he had that way of raising the octaves up and down when it mattered most. And yeah, he'll be treasured by snooker lovers for, well, years and decades to come.
And Nick, how much do you think it helped his commentary, the fact that he had been such a successful player himself?
Oh, I think it was invaluable. He was a great caller of play. And in the past, it's obviously very sad when we lost commentators in all sports, but many of them, we're harking back to the past, you know, what they did years ago, decades ago. John Virgo was one of the great commentators right now. He did the Masters final, as you say, just a couple of weeks ago. And he was a brilliant caller of the shots. He was very up to date with the characters in the game today. And, you know, he just had a brilliant way of expressing it. Plus, of course, on the big stages, the big events on the BBC, you get more casual snooker watchers. And what Virgo was great at was addressing not just the committed watchers, but those 1 or 2, 3 times a year watchers. He was that great bridge to sort of explain the game to the masses.
It's such a fantastic way to have a career that continues past your playing days to go into commentary as well. What was he like with the other younger people who were coming up who also wanted to be commentators? But it's such a particular skill.
Well, I mean, I've heard from the likes of Judd Trump, Jack Lazowski. They all adored John. We heard from, you know, you mentioned Ronnie O'Sullivan. They all looked up to John, you know, because they'd grown up with him like we all have. And, you know, they'd say things like, it's an honour to be with you, John. It's an honour to work with you. And John would be very welcoming to them, you know, showing them a few tricks of the trade and, you know, explaining, you know, the right times to talk, the right times to be quiet, perhaps. He was very welcoming, you know. When I first came on the snooker scene, I was no big player by any means, but I'd go up and chat to John. He'd be welcoming. He's the sort of guy that would chat to anybody. He was sort of an everyman in that sense. That's how, you know, so many of us will remember him with such great fondness.
That is a really lovely tribute you've just paid to him, Nick. Thank you so much. He will be remembered so fondly. Snooker legend, BBC commentator John Virgo, who has died at the age of 79. Good to have you with us on BBC News Now.